Whew, that list lecture was long. Now we're going to talk about tuples, which are really just lists that don't change. There's a reason to have tuples in Python. So this is going to be a really short one because everything you learned about lists is true about tuples, except for the part about changing them. You cannot change a tuple. So that's what I just said. In general, you can do anything with a tuple that you can with a list, except change it once it's created. So right here, I've got a tuple. And what do tuples look like? They have parentheses, not square brackets. So here's a tuple. It begins with the parenthesis, ends with the parenthesis, and has a list of crap inside it. A sequence, an ordered sequence of things. So I can get the length of a tuple. Sure enough, that's 4. But what I can't do is change it. I can't set a new value inside there. So if you want to have something like a list that you can't change, tuples are your friend. So why are we interested in having tuples? The primary reason is that they're faster than lists when you want to loop stuff. That's really it. Because Python knows the list is not going to change, it can optimize the loops for tuples. And also sometimes you just want things that no one can change. A common gotcha is when you want to create a one item tuple, a list, right? An immutable list, a list that doesn't change, a tuple that only has one item in it. You have to put this comma here between the parentheses and that first thing. You have to put that comma there. If you don't put the comma there, if you do it just like this, Python is like, oh, you just put the parentheses in there because you love me. I'm going to ignore them. And so not a tuple is just going to be the string hi. You have to put this comma in here for one item tuples. A one item list can just be like this, hi, because Python is like, I don't use parentheses for anything else. So the square brackets mean I'm going to be in a list or something like a list. So you don't need to put a comma in there. But if you're using the parentheses to create a tuple and you only have one item in it, make sure you include that comma. Common mistake. Under the covers, Python uses tuples every time we have a function that returns more than one value. So we've seen in the function thing where our functions can return more than one value, 1, 2, and 3. It's returning all 3 of these values at once. You can't have more than one thing in a variable. Remember, these things get assigned to temporary variables that are then returned by the function that is then used. So how do you create a list of things that doesn't change? Oh, you create a tuple. So what Python will do is it'll take this 1, 2, 3 here. And what it really does is it says, I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around this for you because you're a lazy person. And then that's the value that I'm going to return. It's a tuple, 1, 2, 3. So when I print out the return value of multi-value here, I get a tuple because it's multiple values coming back. If it's just a single value, I just get the single value. If I don't return any value, it's just none. But when it's multiple values, I get a tuple. That's really it. Tuples are immutable sequences, and immutable means you can't change the values in it, and tuples are faster than lists for looping. I told you it was going to be fast and easy. It's tuples.